I'm always on the lookout for ways to make my diet healthier and more nutritious. And lately, I've been very obsessed with hemp seeds. It's one of my favorite ways to boost the nutrition in my diet. However, you may have actually even seen it when you've been out of the store and maybe even bought a bag. But I do think there's some things that we need to be aware of. There's a lot of ways to use it in the wrong way, and there are ways to make it more nutritious. And there's just some common mistakes that we're making when it comes to hemp seeds, and we're going to talk about that today. Mistakes that we make when eating hemp seeds and how we can get around that. It's not like just any other superfood. There are some things that we need to be keep in mind. And so we're going to talk about that. And also, I've got a recipe for how you can use hemp seeds in a very tasty way. So, you may be wondering, first of all, where you buy hemp seeds, because, that's important. If you're going to start adding them to your diet, you want to know the best way to get them. I like getting them, to be honest, at Costco. And so we oftentimes will get our hemp seeds there. Another great place is to go to, you can find them online, places like Amazon, and a lot of health food stores have hemp seeds. And you can, what I love about getting them in a health food store is that you can find them typically in the bulk section. And what I love about that is that you can, just bring your own bags and reuse those and not have to have some throwaway plastic bags. So I love that. I always take a look at the expiration date just to make sure that, because hemp seeds have a lot of omega-3s, they can go rancid really easily. So taking a look at that date, making sure that you're getting it for the buy now date, then that is really helpful. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about, let's go into these, the mistakes that we make. The number one mistake is not eating enough, because you may see people who advise you just to sprinkle them on top of your salads or whatever, and that's fine. I'm always for incremental improvements, but to be honest, a serving of hemp seeds is 3 tablespoons, and that's how you can really unleash the, I don't know, the protein potential that hemp seeds have. It's a complete amino acid, so that means it has, all the 9 essential amino acids that you need to have a complete protein. So that's a wonderful thing about hemp seeds. But it takes 3 tablespoons to equal a serving, and that's how you can get 10 grams of protein. So that's a one thing to keep in mind, is to make sure you're using enough. Mistake number two is storing them incorrectly. So hemp seeds, like I said before, they have this delicate omega-3, and it can go rancid very easily if it's exposed to heat or if you've not stored them in the right place. So the fix here is to always store hemp seeds in the fridge or in the freezer. That's where we like to keep ours, and that way they last as long as you need them to. So that's important. So mistake number three is treating the hemp seed like any other super seed, like chia and flax. So I'm going to show you an example right here. Earlier today, I paired a tablespoon of chia seeds and a tablespoon of hemp seeds with 3 tablespoons of water. And I want to show you the difference, because this is 3 tablespoons of chia, or 1 tablespoon of chia seed with 3 tablespoons of water, and it's set for several hours. And look what I can do. It's so thick that I can turn this upside down and it's not going anywhere. But you can see here with the hemp seeds, they're very liquidy. So you do not want to use these as an egg replacer. This is a great egg replacer. This one is not. So I think that really illustrates the point that hemp seeds are quite different than chia or flax. And because hemp seeds have been hulled, so what you're getting here is the seed is been removed from its outer thick fibrous shell. And as a result, it's nice and chewy and soft. It's got kind of a nutty flavor, and you can just eat it plain. You don't have to, it breaks down quite easily. It's very soft. And so you don't have to grind it. So with flax and chia, I really recommend grinding it. You don't have to do that with hemp seed. So that's a great thing. Um, and then mistake number four is not pairing it with vitamin C. So especially if you're trying to get the iron absorption that you want from hemp seeds. So hemp seeds actually are a great source of iron. If you are on a plant-based diet and suddenly you're discovering that you're low in iron, or you're wanting to improve that, Hemp seeds are a great way to do that, but they need to be paired with some source of vitamin C to help your body absorb it even more. So one way you can do that with savory dishes is to pair it with, maybe some bell pepper as part of that dish. And with something sweet, maybe you could pair it with strawberries. That would be a great option. Like if you're having overnight oats with some hemp seeds in it and then have some chopped strawberries on top. Combining those two, it will help you get all the nutrients that you need. So I want to talk with you a minute about hemp seeds compared to other things. So for example, if you're looking at hemp seeds as a source of protein, and then a comparison to that would be pea protein, because all the protein powders these days it seems like all the plant-based ones are made with pea protein. And in fact, we use pea protein powder, and we use it in our smoothies in the morning. But one thing I wanted to point out is that pea protein is not a complete food. It's highly processed, and one thing they do is they use sodium to remove the protein from the pea. As a result, you'll discover when you look at the nutrition facts, you'll be able to see that it has a high sodium content. In fact, you could just compare it at the store to a whey protein, and the whey protein doesn't have as much sodium as pea protein. And so that's what the first thing that kind of made me start to think, like, maybe I need to find a better source of protein. I'm fine using some pea protein in my diet. I just like to mix it up and make sure I'm including some whole food sources of protein. And that's when I discovered the hemp seed, and I love it so much for that reason. So hemp seed is great because it's low in sodium. It's got whole, all the things that are attributed to it, like the omega-3s, and it's just not been processed. So that's one reason I think it's nice to have a balance of both. Another thing is chia seeds. So if we're comparing chia seeds with hemp seeds have more protein than chia seeds. In fact, for a full serving of hemp seeds, you get 10 grams of protein, and you only get 4 grams of protein from chia seeds. It's still a great addition to your diet, but I think if you're worried about protein, I think hemp seeds are great. I'm just going to look over here. Patsy Floyd says, hello, everyone. Hi, Patsy. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you're happy with this discussion about hemp seeds and how to get the most out of them. Another thing about a chia and chia and hemp is to talk about fiber. Chia has a little bit more fiber. That makes it sometimes harder for people to digest. So here's what I look at it. Hemp seed for protein, omega-3s, and it's easier to digest. And chia for fiber, hydration, and when you want that pudding-like texture. So if you want to thicken things, oh my gosh, ground chia seeds are the way to go. But what I love is opportunities to pair the two together. So let's talk a little bit about this pudding recipe that I have, because it's actually a hemp chia pudding. So you'll see this is kind of what it looks like at the end. But what we're going to do is we're going to pair. I'm just going to get right to this. So I've got this bowl here. I've got 2 tablespoons of ground chia, and I've got 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, and I'm going to stir that together. Now I'm going to use a little bit of sweetener. You can absolutely switch out for maple syrup, and that's fine, but I'm using a little bit of stevia here. It's around a teaspoon, maybe a half teaspoon. And then I'm going to throw in a sprinkle of cinnamon, and I'm doing that because, as I mentioned before, hemp seeds have kind of an earthy flavor to them, and a nutty flavor, and I think a little bit of cinnamon just covers that up a little bit. So I've got that, and then to that I've got a half cup of almond milk, and I'm going to add just a little bit of vanilla. If yours is already vanilla flavored, you may not need to do this, but I like to enhance it with a little bit of vanilla. How pretty is that? Give that a stir, and I'm just going to pour that into here. And I'm going to give that a stir just to get it to combine. It's super liquidy at the beginning, but it thickens up quite a bit thanks to the ground chia seeds. Really make this a nice pudding-like texture after about 10 minutes, I would say. So like I say, at first you're going to think, oh, there's no way this is going to be a pudding. And it really does not take long until it looks just like this. So you can see here, I paired it with a strawberry. So I'm going to add just a few strawberries to this mixture. I've chopped up some strawberries. I'm going to add them right inside. And you can put more on top when the pudding has thickened. And this is it. This is done. It's ready to eat and it's so delicious. Like I say, give this one about 10 minutes and it's going to be just perfect. So let's take a little taste test. This is how thick it gets after it sits for a while. It really does thicken up like a pudding. It's so good. I'm so excited to try this. Mmm, so good. You can taste the cinnamon. It's got just a light bit of sweetness, I think, paired with the strawberries. It's so good. I actually really love the little bit of texture that you get from the flaxseed. If that texture bothers you, yeah, I said flax. Hemp seed, thank you. If the texture bothers you, you can always just throw this in a blender and blend it for a few seconds. Or you might want to double the batch, or if you have not a stand mixer, what am I thinking? Immersion blender. Immersion blender, stick blender, I think they call them. Throw that in there. You can grind it up a little bit, and like I say, only if that texture bothers you. It doesn't bother me at all. I love it, actually. I kind of like the chewiness of it combined with the pudding. It's really nice. A little bit like what is that pudding? There's been puddings with textures in the past. What am I thinking of? Do you remember? Oh, well, whatever. There's puddings that have texture to them, and I like it. I think it's really good. So, but if that texture bothers you, you can just do immersion blender and you're going to be fine. So I would love to hear from you. If you think you're going to use hemp seeds in your diet? And if so, what are some of your favorite ways that you use hemp seeds? I would love to hear from you because I'm always looking for ideas. And so that would mean a lot to me. If you like today's video and this recipe, I would love it if you give a thumbs up and subscribe for more recipes coming your way every week. So good.